Hello everyone, and welcome back to This Week in Elder Scrolls Online, episode 20. I'm your host Rob with MMORPGcom. QuakeCon was today. Are you ready for the news? But first, real quick, Elder Scrolls Online is now on Steam, and you can purchase it for half off. Most of Bethesda's games are half off during QuakeCon. It may no longer be half off if you're watching this 3 months from now, but when I recorded this as of 7/18, it was half off. During the QuakeCon stream, they finally revealed what we've known for a long time, and that is the Imperial City is going to be home to a PvE and PVP area. You will unlock the capital city by controlling keeps in Cyrodiil. Your objective is to eliminate the Imperial City of Molag Bal's plane meld. You'll be able to clear out the other factions' players if they are present in the city. That's where the PvP comes in. You will also be able to capture and hold different districts within the city and respawn there if you die. We'll also enter the Imperial City through the sewers. We left through the sewers in Oblivion, and we've come back in Elder Scrolls Online. Even though Elder Scrolls Online happens first. Pay no attention to the timeline order there. Just know that we left, now we've come back, and it all involved the sewers. They said they want to remain faithful to the events that happened in Oblivion, and they did that with a lot of the different geographical areas you can find within the city, and that's why they also wanted to make the sewers prominent for our re-entry. To reward you for venturing in the Imperial City, there will be repeatable quests with high experience gains and gold rewards. More on why you'll want those experience rewards later on. There will also be unique bosses and mini-bosses. You'll also be able to craft Imperial Daedric gear. This is due to special forges that are in the city. Something that I love in MMOs, and I'd venture to guess that more than a handful of other people out there, is grouping. Zos is working on 5 initiatives to improve grouping. First is to fix quests so players aren't separated so often. Next is more quests will have shared advancements. You will always be able to sync with your group leader. Journal and quest tracker to show common quests. And finally, confirmation for quest sharing. You'll be told if it succeeds or if it fails. People want repeatability out of dungeons. Shocking, I know. Zos has solutions. Not as shocking, but, you know. One is to scale the dungeon level to group leader. This includes monsters, items, experience points, and golds. Super important the fact that that's going to scale the item rewards and actually, experience as well. Because I tell you, going back to help people do the dungeons isn't so fun when you get absolutely nothing out of it, and neither do they because they don't get anything because you're too high. Solo instant difficulty will scale to you. The instance will also dynamically nerf itself if you have a wonky build and just cannot beat the boss. Instead of sitting there and beating your head on a wall, the 3rd or 4th time you go in there to try to kill it, the boss will be a little bit easier and hopefully you will be successful. They also plan on adding in a series of daily dungeon quests called pledges. In addition, we should see new passives in the Undaunted skill line. Finally, we'll also get special keys that open Undaunted treasure chests that are powerful and look amazing. That's their words, looking amazing. I didn't get to see them. I do know that they said, hey, if we're killing all these bad enemies, why can't we skin them and wear them as armor? And then at the end, they teased us with some screenshots that were still conceptual of different Daedra and bosses that we fought that were wearing his helmets. And it looked pretty cool. Some more on the PvE front. In Update 5, we'll see a new veteran instance, the City of Ash. Zos also plans to continue the story of the Celestials in Craglorn, as well as add Dragonstar Arena. This is a 4-person mini trial. It'll get progressively more difficult PvE encounters. They'll come in waves. These will have leaderboards, and they'll also have 2 different difficulty modes. Next up on the panel, Paul Sage talked about the new champion and justice systems. Paul stated that the challenge is post 50. There's a split. Those that love it and those that feel that it's too difficult. Does it ramp up in a predictable pattern? After you come off at level 50, you don't want a skeever running up with your arm. And that's in regards to the difficulty that people are complaining about at the veteran ranks, as opposed to how easy it was to just beat a mob before 50, how difficult it became after 50. They're working on creating a faster path through the veteran ranks. You'll get a bonus, aka rested experience, for logging out. They also want to increase the cadence at which you improve your character, and that leads us into the champion system. The champion system will replace the veteran ranks, and they're looking at using iconic symbols that people will recognize from Elder Scroll lore. These will offer incremental increases. Your progress along these would be similar to the skill trees you found in Skyrim. The picture that was just shown is the tower. The tower has a number of different abilities on it. Blade Expert increases the base damage any player can do with a blade. Tenacity increases total stamina regen by a percentage. Shock Boost increases damage done by shock and also increases resistance to shock. Precise Strikes increases the percentage on the weapon's critical derived stat. And it's important to notice that these are all passive abilities on the UI. Keep in mind this is a work in progress and it's subject to change, and it probably will change to an extent before we actually see these in the live game. We will see a variety of different symbols to progress through. They're also adding in a justice system. You'll be able to steal and murder. Amazingly enough, a lot of people really want the ability to just kill random NPCs, and they did a lot of that on the stream. From doing that, stealing and killing, you will have a bounty placed on your head. You can pay it off and you'll walk free. If not, the guard will kill you. You'll also lose all of your stolen goods if you do choose to pay the bounty. Good luck killing the guards and running away. During the panel, they talked about the tech behind the game, how combat responsiveness and art all play into it, and this slide shows some of the items that go into making the game feel responsive. The UI, abilities and their related systems, server lag, effects lag, audio assets, client lag, server instructions, animation systems, NPC behaviors, design choices, timing, animation assets. To address this, they are working on characters looking more lifelike when you talk to them. They're also adding new armor and weapons and combat animations and making it all look more responsive. During the presentation, they referred to a person as a sock puppet. They're working on an upgrade. The person had essentially 2 bones in their face around their eyebrows, and they had one on their jaw. Their lips didn't really move. So they invested in a new software. This is called Face Effects. It is a tech they've licensed, and if you couldn't tell from the name in my description, it focuses on facial animation. It takes dialogue and identifies the phoneme and the dialogue. These are the individual sounds we make in speech. Apparently in English there are 44 of them. This IDs the phoneme in the dialogue. It makes a sequence for the character and matches them to a mouth shape. So we'll have no more sock puppets. They showed a side-by-side comparison and it looked a lot different. A great way to think of this is looking at a kung fu movie. You watch the movie, the people talk, and the words they're saying are not what the way their mouth is moving. And that's a lot like the Elder Scrolls Online is right now. With this new software, it actually looks like their mouth is saying the words that are coming out, unless they're a Khajiit, and then it's really hard to make a muzzle look like somebody's actually saying the true words, but it is much better than what it currently is. They're also working on the particle effects in the game, and this is based specifically off of player feedback. They even included a quote from a player. For a game that wants you to look at the effects on screen to determine what is happening, it really needs to make sure you see those effects. And that's from CornMuffin87. Thanks, CornMuffin. The solution to this is allocating more of the overall particle effects budget to combat abilities. They've added a more robust particle effects priority culling rules, and they're exposing the rules to the players, and they're having a slider added in that adjusts the memory dedicated to the particle effects, and the players can choose at what level they want it to set it. All telegraphs will be cached in memory and will always play, as well as weapon swaps. Those will be cached in memory, and they'll be instant from now on. And while you're looking at this concept art, let me tell you about the 2 new zones they announced. First off is a new adventure zone, Murkmire. Like Craglorn, this will focus on 4-man groups and have 12-man trials. This is in the province of Blackmarsh, located in the southeast. In the zone, in the north, we'll see a swamp. In the middle, it'll be an upland, so dry and grassy, and the south is a bog. The dominant race in this area will be the Argonians. We'll find a new player race called the Naga. There's a new Dreg variant. There's also a fast-running, fire-breathing turtle. It looks like an alligator snapping turtle on steroids that breathes fire. The next zone is a solo PvE zone, and that's Hrothgar. Anyone from any alliance can go there, and it's located between High Rock and Skyrim. It was given to the orcs when they joined the Dragonfall Covenant. The ancestral capital is this province. We, the players, want to help rebuild the orcs' capital town. Not exactly sure why people outside of the Dragonfall Covenant would want to help the orcs, but that's what they said. And as you're enjoying this art, I want to let you know that this nice little guy that you're staring at is the Horker. And the Horker says hello. And they only gave him 1 tusk because they said it was easier on the assets than 2. That's it for this week, folks. Make sure to like, favorite, and subscribe the video if you found it helpful. Also, let's continue the conversation on social media. You can find me on Twitter @Graculin. As always, have a great one.